Good afternoon, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're feeling grand and diggity-boo. Yay, it's February. Hasn't it come round quickly? Although it did feel like January dragged. Beginning of the month, I'm going to whip you around the garden. Whip, whip, whip. Show you how things are looking at the beginning of February. Just starting to feel a little bit almost back on track with the garden and life in general. I've actually just now trimmed the grass. This is really early for me. I was going to say it's the earliest I've ever trimmed. I'm not sure if it is, but it feels like it. With this mild winter we've had and so much rain, my goodness, the grass has not stopped growing. So I've given it a bit of a trim today, but not too short. So it's still a bit scruffy, but less likely to trip me up now than it was before. So I think without further ado, let's get ourselves into the garden and see how things are at the beginning of February. Oh, just to say, are you noticing it? This lengthening of the days. It's wonderful, isn't it? It feels like for months and months and months it's been dark by sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's partly because of such thick grey clouds. But literally in the last couple of days, I suddenly clocked it. It's just gone 5 o'clock and there's still a bit of light there. Yay! And of course, with that, we're starting to see the very first signs of growth. So, come on. Let me take you to the garden and show you some growth. Well, hurrah for a temporary fix of my sign. If you remember the other day I had to saw off the bottom of this post because it had snapped and it was completely rotten. Actually, the whole post is really spongy. But rather fantastically, the other day I spotted a post just like it on our burn pile. So I've nabbed it. Right, bad number one. What can I say? Oh dear goodness me. This is where the broad beans were, where the woozle wasn't. And in the end here, I have a grand total of, let me see if I can get you under, oh sorry. A grand total of 3. Yep, well and truly done in by the mice. Oh no, I've just spotted. Oh, I wonder if that's my second sowing. They didn't get all of my second sowing. Hurrah! I've never been so excited to see 2 broad beans before. Yay, come on little ones. I am, in the next week or so, I'm going to start a load more off in pots. Oh, there's another 2. Yay! So what have I got now? 7 broad beans. I'm going to start a load off in pots at home. I don't even trust to start them off in pots down here. So hopefully, I'm going to try and keep them quite cool at home because obviously they would be out here in down to 0. So if I start them on my hallway landing, which is about 14 degrees, I'm hoping they'll get going quickly. I can get them in and then, because I want to harvest early from here in order to get my cocoa de pampol in. The cocoa may end up here. I finally got all the leaves and got all the beds covered, bar this one. I ran out of leaves, ran out of time and ran out of strimmer power and cardboard, but at least there's a little bit of cover on there for now in terms of, that's just a pile of untrimmed leaves just to stop the bed getting battered by the rain. But yes, another bed covered, obviously those 2 were. Oh, it felt very, very satisfying to get that done, along with these 2 beds the other day. So if you remember, I had the very last of bits of calendula, squash vines, what have you. So everything just got pulled out, chopped up, laid on the surface with a load of leaves and then covered. And then just here in the middle, this is the rocket that I'm letting go to flower in the hopes that I can get some seed from it. I hope so. There's tons and tons of little flower buds all over it. That would be a really nice little treat to have my own rocket seed. They won't have long to do it though, because these 2 beds are going to be for my potatoes this year, and I'll probably be getting those in hopefully by the end of March, beginning of April. So come on, Rocket, you've got 2 months to do your thing. As you can see either side of the path at the ends of each beds, that's my bean trenches. Oh, need to pop one in there. And as you can see, just as I'm going around the garden, I chuck my rubbish in. So in there today, that's just the trimmings from the edge of the path. There's some manky cabbage leaves. Yeah, it works. It's you know, it's a useful way of tidying up the garden, having somewhere to dump my rubbish. But that will all help in the summer in terms of moisture retention, and obviously it's a bit of food for the beans too. So, oh, I'm so happy to see my path edges trimmed again. I know it's the silliest little thing, isn't it? But it pleases me. The chard and beetroot are still going strong. Actually, saying that, some of the beetroot are now inhabited by woodlice. Grr. I'll probably have the rest of them out in the next couple of weeks or so. Get them chopped up and frozen, or just make a massive batch of borscht and get that frozen. The cabbage bed, it's now pretty empty. So I put a load of leaves on here the other day too. See under there, my strimmer had no battery left, so they just dumped on whole. I also didn't have any cardboard left, but I thought, you know what, get the leaves on, get this tunnel on. It's protecting the soil a little bit. There's a bit for the worms to play with. Put it this way, that is definitely better than nothing, than leaving it bare. And finally, I chopped up the cocoa de palm pole plants, and if you remember, I had a load of the detritus from when I'd shucked my corn. It was kind of in a pile here and in a pile there. It was good and wet and starting to rot down, so all I did was I've kind of raked it out, so there's a little bit over the whole bed, and that is now properly covered. It's funny, isn't it? It's the start of a new growing year, and there's me getting excited about getting my beds finally covered. All of this ought to have been done back in November. Oh well, better late than never. In bed number 3, the 2 beds which are empty and out of action have been covered all winter. This one was the chickpeas, and if you remember I was saying at the beginning of January, I've actually had to recover it because everything that was there, including the cardboard, had been eaten. Worms doing their job. You can see now I'm starting to empty. This was the parsnip bed. That is starting to empty. So that's getting a covering too. Now under there at the moment I don't have anything by way of leaves or compost, etc. What I'm thinking, excuse me, again like with the beetroot, over the next couple of weeks I'll have the rest of these out, and then I will literally just go on the hunt for anything, any organic matter that I can chop up, get on the top and get that covered as well. But yeah, it's in some ways it's like, oh, there's not a huge amount of change since the beginning of January, but I do see the change. I mean, look, for instance, at the cabbages, the beds are becoming more and more empty as the weeks go by, and in just a few weeks' time they'll all be empty. Well, all but. Oh, look at this gorgeous garlic. It's doing great. Normally in February I give it a bit of a feed by way of a top dressing of chicken pellets. I will almost certainly do that in the next couple of weeks, because some of them are just looking a bit pale, sort of verging on yellow, which tells me they might be a bit hungry. So yeah, I will give them a feed, but otherwise I'm happy with how they're doing. In terms of this cocoa mulch, or this sort of growing medium that I've used as a mulch, I won't really know how well that's done until I get the garlic out and I can get my hands down into the soil and see how the soil is looking, but well, it looks good for now. nothing to report with the purple sprouting broccoli yet. Their time will come, but they all look perfectly healthy and happy. And this year I'm glad that, can you see, I've staked all of them. Normally by this time in the year, when I haven't staked, they'd all be lying across the path, lying over, oh that's a chilly breeze, lying over the path behind. But yeah, those stakes are definitely helping them, and I'm sure by them not being blown around all over the place, I'm sure that means they can focus their energies on producing their sprouts. I'm just looking in here. Oh, look, the first sign of a little bit of purple tinge. Gorgeous. Oh, I do love my brassicas anyway, but I think there's something so wonderful about the purple sprouting, because when everything else is finished, you still get that gorgeous winter kick of a brassica. Yum, yum, yum. The celery, well, it's looking very, very battered. Quite a lot of it's dying back, but I am still diving in there and grabbing out healthy stalks from here and there. So, yeah, perfectly happy with that. Those two beds have been covered since last October. One of my kales has been attacked by the pigeons. How bizarre. But the rest haven't and are doing me very well. Now this was I was mentioning this the other day because I haven't been able to get down for a couple of weeks, that some of my broccoli was starting to blow. Look at them sweet wee little flowers. Here we go. Oh yes, you're very pretty. So I can't remember this variety, I'm really sorry, but it was a new to me variety this year. And what I've noticed is, once I've taken the head out, say like that, normally I leave it in, and oh, I'm going to sneeze. Ouchie, excuse me. Ouchie. Sorry. No, sorry about that. Normally when I take the head out, leave the rest of the plant in, get a load of side shoots. This one has not been really giving me the side shoots, so I'll have to go back to my notes of last year and see what it was and make a note to self to not do it again, because I want my veg to work harder than just giving me that one measly harvest of one head. Okay, so the ones that are blown, like I said the other day, I shall leave them in. They'll flower. It's a first bit of food for the bees. Last year the bees started emerging at the end of February, so let's have some food ready for them. The carrot bed, I'm gradually emptying the carrot bed now, as you can see. So, oh, this, by the way, this is what was on our burn pile. This is the post I was mentioning. And look, it looks pretty solid. And it's the exact same size as the one that I had for my pot sign that's rotted. Do you know what? I'll get 2 posts out of that. That's what I might do actually, is cut 2 posts and stash one somewhere in my shed, underneath my seat maybe, so that eventually when the next new one rots, I'll have a replacement. Yay! So yeah, very last of the carrots. They'll come out in the next few days as well, and then I can get the rest of this bed covered. Suddenly the garden looks like it's December. Oh, but the herb bed, it's looking so tatty. Bless it. Bless it? You know what I mean? I've been leaving it in terms of sort of food, habitat, what have you, but I think all the seed heads have been had away, so over the next 4 weeks or so, I'll keep an eye on the weather, but I can give everything a good prune. This, for instance, was one of last year's calendula, looking really tired and manky. That can come out. The mountain tea. Let me show you. It's surviving. It doesn't look brilliantly happy, but let's face it, it's winter. I am going to sow some more I'm not sure when, probably in the next few weeks. But hopefully that one will carry on surviving, and then it will get to the stage where it's thriving. I just want to show you around the back. So no sign of life here yet. In here, where did I spot it the other day? I don't know if it's going to pick up, but look, that. It's a crocus shoot. Yay! My first ever allotment crocus. And then down in the back of the herb bed, if you remember, I sowed, I can't remember the name, it's an allium of some description. I think I planted, was it 6 or 8 here? And 2 of them are up. That is a very happy sight, isn't it? So they're doing grand. Yeah, the whole of the herb bed needs a bit of attention. Look, more old calendula, a clump of grass coming up. But I reckon with all the pruning it needs, particularly the hyssops and the French lavenders, I reckon a couple of hours we'll see that done and sorted. That'll be a nice job. I think all the yucky jobs are done. Ah, yes, I paid heed to what some of you said when I was getting all the glass out at the end of the cold frame. These are the only bits of metal mesh I had, but I've popped those on the top of the cold frame for now to try to discourage the kitties. Oh, and my perspex has arrived, so I'm going to do that this afternoon. Talking of signs of life. Hurrah and huzzah! Sweet peas, yay! So in most, well, I've got 1, 2, 3 pots where I can see 4, 2 pots where I can see 3, 2 pots where I can see 2, and 1 pot where I can see 0. But that's better than I've done every other year, apart from last year, which is my first okay year. So yeah, thoroughly delighted. I've just given them a little bit of water today. It's the first time I've watered them since I sowed them. They were just feeling a little bit dry, so hopefully that will keep them going now for a few more days at least. Let's tuck them up again. They don't really need the warmth, but just, well, keep the window shut, keep the cats out. Now if you remember, down around here I planted some more of the spring bulbs. No sign of anything yet. Oh, I'm mistaken, look. I wonder if we're going to be able to show you this. There we go. Oh, brilliant. Oh, I'm delighted about that. That's great. And I always love this bright green of the love in a mist. Isn't that just the most gorgeous colour to see at this time of year? Yay! Oh, and look, the rosemary's about to flower like mad. This is another fantastic food for the bees. The timing of the rosemary each year is impeccable. Right then, that's pretty much it. The Taunton Dean still going mad. I think what I might need to do is put a hook into the fence and some sort of wire around it just to hold it back to the fence a bit, because look, there's my path. It's not letting me through. My goodness, it's been a monster. Oh, and the other bit of life. Oh, continuing life. Now, I just noticed this morning on my blueberry bushes some nice little buds forming. Hurrah! But I love the colour of them. I've been really enjoying this through the winter. I know they're skinny and scrawny, but every time I come to the garden I just see this gorgeous little flash of red against the fence, and I really appreciate it. Lovely. The elephant garlic, oh, they're really getting away now. I've never grown them before, so this is a complete, well, everything's going to be a surprise to me in terms of them, even down to eating them. So I don't think I've ever eaten an elephant garlic before. I shall very much look forward to that. And that, my friends, is pretty much it for the state of the garden. Oh, look at that edge. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy to have... Oh, you know what? It is pleasing, isn't it, that line? Oh my goodness me, what a nerd. I'm a nerd for the lines, but there we go. Yeah, it's a funny time of year, isn't it? Because, you know, in some ways there are parts of the garden that are coming back to life with, you know, whether it's little bulbs popping up in the herb bed or the lovely green of the garlic and what have you. But it's also it's the one time of year, sort of February through till about mid-March, when the garden looks at its most sort of dead, not dead, but at its most empty. You know, in another couple of weeks or so, these will be finished and out. The cabbages, well, they'll be finished this week. And then all that I'll have in the garden will be my kale and the purple sprouting broccoli. So yeah, it's the lean times are coming. It's chilly wind again. But it's all... I look at it today like this and I think, you know what, this is fine. This is absolutely fine. It's all ready for action. Little bit of weeding to do. There's always a little bit of weeding to do, isn't there? Not going to concern myself with that. For now, I'm just going to enjoy the last of the winter veg and gird myself for the madness of spring. I hopefully will see you all again really soon. But in the meantime, please take care of yourselves. Get into your garden if you can. Wrap up if it's this windy. Bye for now.